After my 38F husband, 38M, of 3 years got fired, he's been short-tempered and mean, and I'm tired of it. I'm not sure how to improve my marriage, following my 38F husband's job loss, 38M. We've been married 3 years, together for 5. Before, he was a thoughtful, caring husband with some anxiety. Last year, we welcomed our first child, 10 months. A month after I gave birth, husband was fired from a job he'd held for 10 years. It shocked him and made him angry. Since then, he's been grouchy, irritable, mean. He mostly takes it out on me. He picks a fight and attacks me for the smallest things. Husband has been out of work for 9 months now. With his bad moods, I've tried to be supportive and kind and give him grace because I feel bad that he got fired. He's not like this all the time, and the frequency of his eruptions has gone down over the past few months. However, I also have boundaries, and I do not appreciate him belittling or yelling at me. So I told him this. On multiple occasions, but also yesterday. For example, he asked me to buy him a dresser. So, I ordered a dresser and supervised the delivery. The delivery guys accidentally broke a dresser leg. They were honest, apologized, and noted that on the form and submitted a repair request. I told them I understood accidents happen and looked forward to the repair. When I told my husband, he yelled at me on and off for 3 days. He thought I should have been meaner, more aggressive to them. He told me to call my credit card company and tell them it was a fraudulent charge. I told him I couldn't because that would be lying. I did buy the dresser. He went off. So you're refusing to fix this? What is your problem? He yelled at me and spent the next 3 weeks sending the store nasty emails. Before that, I asked him to handle getting the crib ready. I had already purchased it, it was ready for pickup at the store, and I just needed him to handle getting it and assembling. Honestly, I thought he might enjoy this dad rite of passage. He hired a handyman with a truck to pick up and assemble. That worked fine, but afterwards, my husband complained that he had to spend his time meeting the handyman, and that from now on he wasn't going to meet any handymen, delivery people, etc. He said, meeting contractors is bad for my mental health. And, just because I'm unemployed, doesn't mean I have time for this stuff. I said, okay, and now I take time off work to meet all repairmen, etc. Hence the dresser delivery in the last paragraph. Meanwhile, I had to go back to work full-time 6 weeks after having baby girl. I take care of her throughout the night when she wakes. I watch her from 6/7 am when she wakes 9 a.m., and 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., and on weekends. The nanny watches her from 9 to 5 p.m. Husband pitches in about 3 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday, but did not watch her at all for the first 6 months. I work really hard to be a good mom and be good at my job and keep this family happy and healthy. It's like instead of living with a nice husband that I appreciate and can rely on, I have this grouchy porcupine that I have to watch out for. It's exhausting for me to try to manage his moods on top of everything else. I feel like I'm shouldering too much. Husband has been going to therapy, but I decay if it's helping. Or maybe I'm just impatient for it to work faster? I've suggested couples therapy, but he's not interested in that. I also suggested that if he got a new job, one he's happier in, he might feel better. He did not appreciate that advice. I think he's in a rut. Yesterday, we had a big fight. I woke up upon hearing the baby, greeted her, and started playing sweetly with baby girl. Everything was lovely, until husband woke up. He immediately started attacking me for scheduling a happy hour after work since he wanted us to go to dinner at his parents' house that night. But I had texted him the day before and asked if he could watch the baby so I could go to this HH, and he said yes. Also, I scheduled the HH in the first place see husband asked me to. He thinks one of my former colleagues could have some job leads for him. I offered to meet my husband for dinner after my HH or cancel the HH, but he said I never should have scheduled it in the first place. He continued to belittle me. He said I obviously didn't know how to work a calendar, I didn't like his parents, I couldn't be trusted, none of these are true. I'd had enough. I told my husband, you are being bad word. You didn't used to be like this. But you've been like this ever since you lost your job. You are grumpy, rude. You yell at me, you pick fights over nothing. You're not reasonable, and it's too much for me to deal with. This is not what I signed up for. Stop it. You need to either make yourself happy, or figure out a way to be kind while you're unhappy. If you want me to go to couples therapy with you, I will. But you need to fix your behavior. He told me I was name-calling and that I was the rude one. Now we're not talking. I think he believes he did nothing wrong and is waiting for me to apologize. I want him to take what I said seriously and change his behavior. Any ideas on how to repair the marriage? I'm at a loss. Update. Thank you all. I'm heartened by all the thoughtful suggestions and comments. Like a splash of water to the face, in a good way. I'm planning to have a serious talk tonight, keeping in mind a lot of the points and ideas you all made. Wish me luck. Edit. Added update. TLDR*. Husband got fired 9 months ago, and since then he's grumpy, rude and picks fights. I empathize, but I need him to be nice to me, and others.
What on earth is this dude doing all day? He's not working, he's not watching the baby. I cannot fathom that you're paying a nanny while on only one income. He says he's going to therapy. Is he actually applying for any new jobs? He should be doing all of the housework, including meeting with delivery people, while you concentrate on keeping up the one income stream. You give him an ultimatum. I don't generally like him, but this situation is seriously untenable. He needs to get a new job or start pulling his weight around the house. You're already functioning like a single parent. At this point a divorce means you won't have to deal with him being to you all the time.
What an absolute. Why on earth are you taking on the lion's share for childcare when her father is right there? I understand he might be going through some issues with his career, but his wife and daughter need to come first. This is unacceptable behavior. I would demand 70/30ths, because he's unemployed, division of labor and childcare. I feel like you need to start making stronger demands and sticking to them. This is wildly inappropriate. You're more than allowed to demand much more than you're asking for now.
Why are you putting up with this? Why have you put up with this for 9 months? It's long past time he got over his pity party. He's branched over to abusing you. Make him go stay with his parents for a while until he can figure his out and stop acting like a dictator.
He's likely depressed. My husband's depression often manifests in irritability and anger, but it's his problem to manage. When a semi-similar situation occurred with my husband, I told him flat out at one point that I would not be spoken to like that and he needed to figure out what was going on with him and what he wanted, because I was not going to continue like that. He booked an appointment with a psychiatrist and found a therapist. He soon after found a new job and started meds. Because he knew I was 100% serious. I had a really good job and had told him I didn't honestly care all that much how long it took him to find a job, but he had to be actually doing something every day. Either pick up some classes, or start being a stay-at-home dad, or find a job. Staying at home all day doing all was not one of the options, especially while I was paying all the bills, doing most of the chores and nearly all the childcare. And under no circumstances was I going to put up with him being meaner to me than he would a stranger on the street.
9 months with no financial contribution to the household is not acceptable. He's holding out for something on his level when he should be getting something in the meantime so he can contribute. Why does he think this is okay? You need couples counseling because the way he's talking to you is completely unacceptable.
Greater than a month after I gave birth, husband was fired from a job he'd held for 10 years. Greater than husband pitches in about 3 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday. But did not watch her at all for the first 6. He didn't watch her at all even during the month when he had a job. Are you being 100% honest when you say that this is completely new behavior? I have a hard time believing that. If you weren't already conditioned to accept this from him, you would have put a stop to it months before, I think.
He appears to be taking on nothing in the terms of being a partner. Is that okay with you? Shame goes with unemployment, but only he can fix it. Do you have some place to stay until he wakes up? Can he go to his parents to live? He clearly needs time to reevaluate his IMO doing too much and letting his self-pity rule your shared lives.
Why did he get fired?
This was a wild now on. He wasn't going to meet any handymen, delivery people, etc. Why? It's a marriage, correct? You're both in the same house, correct? Who died and made him king of doling out duties? And spare me with the mental health because I'm unemployed, doesn't mean I have time for this stuff. As a matter of fact, it does. Where the is he literally geographically located while you take off of work? Why did your husband not watch her at all, for the first 6 months? And #X200B. Greater than he said, I obviously didn't know how to work a calendar. I didn't like his parents. I couldn't be trusted. None of these are is completely absolutely 100% needs to get a job asterisk immediately asterisk.
Kick him out. Now, you are pretty much a single parent anyways. This way you will at least get peace.
If you got a nanny, kick him out to his parents till he's got his ass sorted so he can grow up. He's not even helping with childcare except a few hours on a. Yeah, you should not be taking time off work for deliveries. You work and look after baby. He is at home so he can do it.
Tell him to get checked for a brain tumor. If this change in behavior is sudden, it could be medical. If this is just an underlying trait that is more visible now, then you should really reevaluate your relationship. You give him all the power even though he is essentially a second child that you care for at this point. He doesn't earn money, doesn't take care of the baby, and expects you to leave your job to attend to household matters. All while yelling at you and telling you that you are the one not meeting his standards. It's ridiculous. He basically has two choices: continue living in your household, which means he needs to resume life as an adult, or go back home to mom and dad where he can be infantilized. But there's no room for an adult baby in your house.
100% agree. I was in a similar situation a few years ago, but it was my father who was fired. To this day, my dad refuses to get any type of help. Losing a job, warranted or not, is a crazy thing to go through on a mental and emotional level. And I honestly think it brings out the worst in people. They start to sink into their flaws. Hence, the outbursts, depression, and anxiety. The hardest thing has actually been seeing my mum stick by my dad's side despite his unwillingness to help himself. I used to cry thinking about them getting divorced, but now, I cry wishing that my mum believed she deserved better than being with someone like my dad.
TBH, I don't understand how she didn't leave when he told her to take off work to accept deliveries while he sits on his. He asked her to buy him as she paid for it, and she took off work while he did nothing. And then he screamed at her for 3 days about it. How was that not the final straw?
The 3 days thing made me laugh, too. Who would tolerate that? Who has the energy to do that? How sad is a person to be asterisk that mad about something that when she said she had already discussed the repair with the delivery man? Dude, chill. Just a wild guess. His irrational anger?
I see from other comments that you're a lawyer. Read your post, and imagine it's a client telling you all this. What advice would you give your client? To me, without serious therapy and a huge apology and change from your husband, I'd be done. You already have a nanny in place, so at least that's one less thing to worry about. I'm sorry this is your situation.
Divorce is common after men lose their jobs. Not because of the lost income, but that they say their role is to provide and their wife should do the house chores and childcare. But then when their wife is providing financially and they are home all day, it becomes clear that they have no intention of doing housework or childcare. They think it is beneath them, and that their wife has to do 100% of all roles. It reveals that your husband never saw you as a partner, just a source of free labor for the tasks he doesn't like doing. He needs to be doing housework and childcare full time. If he isn't, then all you are is a single mother with an overgrown child.
Right, girl, what is happening in your life? My husband also had layoffs, yes plural, that happened during my pregnancy and newborn stage. He stayed at home during the first year of our child's life, thanks COVID. And he took care of her so she wouldn't have to go to daycare in those early scary times and I could go to work. Did he have some mental health lurking in there? Manifested as a drinking problem, can do that to the best of us. But he was never mean to me, and I certainly didn't hire a nanny. He would never ask me to take time off work to do basic household tasks. Hello, if I start jeopardizing my job, we're gonna have real problems.
I honestly don't even care that he's depressed. He deserves to be depressed. The man has a wife who takes care of him and his child, and this is how he chooses to treat her. He doesn't deserve a day of happiness in his doesn't make people assholes.
Exactly. I think Op is going to find out that the meanness she's currently experiencing is the tip of the iceberg. She needs to be very blunt. He must, 1, get a job. Any job. The time for being picky ended months ago. Every day, he needs to devote a substantial amount of time to targeted activities to find gainful employment. He is already approaching unemployability. It's hard to get a job when you lost one. It's much harder to get one the longer you heal drag. It's better to take a lesser job than to stay unemployed. And he needs to and not whine about it. If he needs to whine, he can whine to a therapist. 2. He goes to therapy and gets on meds for his anxiety and depression. Unless a physician says he has an condition that can't be treated with meds, he must take his meds. And if he's just an R, then decide he can be an R on his own time and dime. 3. He does the majority of the chores while you are at work. 4. If he refuses to do the majority of the chores, then he is a full-time SAHP and still has to get some chores done. Use the nanny money to pay a cleaning service. Not doing chores and not taking care of the child while you work is not on the menu. He stops being mean. Full stop. Yes, he can control himself and not be mean. If he was completely unable to control his meanness, he would be getting popped in the face by strangers when he got all aggro with them in public. Or he'd be in jail for assaulting someone. And yes, verbal assault can lead to jail time, too. Apparently he can manage to not get into fistfights every time he goes out of the house, so he can control his nastiness. He is literally being mean to Op because he's been allowed to be mean. He's still having food and shelter provided to him, so he's not motivated to not be mean. Motivate him.